see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, get any...
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Friday Eve. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone tuning in today. This is Prim and Proper Sports, and I'm your host, Sonia, coming to you once again with all the NFL, possible NBA news if we get to it, and MLB news across the sports arena. Tonight, I have the very special honor of once again welcoming back to the stage Big Mike, host and producer and extraordinary creator of the ManCave. Hi, Mike. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope your day has been amazing. How's the weather out there in Ohio?
It's all right. I mean, it's starting to get cold because it's, gotten dark now. So it's starting to hit them low temps.
Yeah, those low temps are something else. And by the way, speaking of low temps, go ahead and download the Roku app and find Northeast Streaming Sports so that you can find 24/7 sports without the cost of cable. Shout out to Mac and Linda, the producers over there who make this platform possible. So, and for you all tuning in on YouTube, please comment, say hello, come on in, as well as Facebook and all social media platforms. All right, Mike, we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Unfortunately, we have to start out with a little bit of sad news. The Kansas City Chiefs, who were celebrating their Super Bowl win today in Kansas City, during the parade, which was packed with lots of spectators, including children, school age, and young children alike, when an act of violence has occurred. Right now, there are 3 gunmen in custody, and 21 people have been shot, including 1 person has been deceased. This just seems to be the narrative in America, unfortunately, whenever there's some large event that you can't help but be feeling uneasy, but you should not feel that way, especially at the height of such a celebration. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It's crazy to think that, sports brings everybody together and then things like this happen. So then it starts ruining it. It starts making it harder for us to be like, let's take our kids to celebrate this event. Let's do this. Let's all go do these things. And you have the tragedies that occur at these events now. I mean, I've always been hard pressed to believe like you win a championship. Why are you flipping cars over and burning down your city? Like I never understood that whatsoever. You're not mad. You won. You're happy. So why burn everything down? But stuff like this has got to stop. I get people have mental issues and problems, and that probably is a reason why some of these things happen. But we got to come together. I mean, sports brings us together. All races, nations, everybody comes together over sports.
And it's a way to get away from all of this. And so to bring this, it's horrible. Now, there's a look in history. This is probably the largest shooting that has occurred. However, the Cavaliers, when they won their championship in 2016, 1 person was injured. But as recent as 2019, when the Toronto Raptors won their championship, unfortunately, 4 people were shot during that altercation. This specific incident apparently was a brawl that came on amongst some youngsters. They don't use fists anymore. And to have 3 gunmen, I seriously doubt that's a mental health thing. That sounds almost gang related or something to that, unfortunately. And I just feel like lawmakers or whoever, there's no law or anything out there that's really going to curtail this other than just good home training. Because if you really want to get a weapon, let's just face it, most of the time when crimes are occurring, they're not by law-abiding citizens that are getting these weapons legally.
Exactly. Like it's going to happen no matter what. Can't just sit here and say, oh, got to take the guns away from everybody, do all those things. That's not going to change.
Right.
Like I said, you say drugs are illegal, but you can get drugs easier than anything. Just
Than
say the way it would
aspirin,
go.
right. That's true. And it's just one of those things. So of course, I mean, I hate to be cliche, but our thoughts and prayers are with the city of Kansas City, and especially whoever that person was that is deceased, their family and friends, and all those people who are currently being treated at Children's Hospital. Go figure. They said it was packed with at least 15 children out there. All those people who are suffering from gunshot wounds and who are being currently treated, and the doctors and nurses that are administering to them. The Chiefs probably do need to come out and make some type of public statement. I was on with CJD Simone earlier, the painkiller, along with Mac and Jim Jeffcoat and Bo, and they all were agreeing like this is one of the situations that, you know, it just needs to be addressed. I don't know if it's going to slow it or curtail it, but a statement needs to be made. I mean, this is absolutely devastating. So again, our thoughts and prayers are with that organization. Another shocking news this afternoon, prior to the shooting coming out, looks like the 49ers have decided after losing the Super Bowl that Kyle Shanahan was quoted as saying Steve Wilks does not fit the 49ers regime. How does someone who leads you to the Super Bowl suddenly just not fit? I'm confused, Mike. Help me out here.
They need a scapegoat, and he's it. That's exactly what this is. I mean, they're saying, oh, well, the scheme, blah, blah, blah. Listen, here's the deal. He had the Niners in the top 5 defense all year long. I mean, they were doing crazy things on defense. So you can't say all of a sudden, oh, well, we had a 10-point lead. It's all on the defensive coordinator. No. Listen,
Right?
Kyle Shanahan, to be honest, every single bit of this blame is put in your hands and your hands alone, because anybody that has the top rusher in the league, the running back in the league, and comes out and throws the ball 6 times in 2 drives after halftime, that's your fault. Your fault,
Right.
because you
Right.
should have ran the ball at least 3 times. I mean, I'm not understanding why, 4 times to be honest, not understanding why you didn't do that. I'm also confused on the whole, how did your team and you not know the rules for the Super Bowl overtime? Because KC
Yeah.
said they knew it, and they were training in training camp knowing this stuff. I mean, come on. Let's stop doing all this blame game and, well, Steve Wilks, you just, no, come on. That defense was rolling in that first half doing the thing. It was the offense that slacked and put all the pressure on the defense. And again, no holding calls for an entire game for a team. That's something else in itself. But
Right.
can't blame that all on Steve Wilks whatsoever.
I think it's the Shanahan curse. You know, they kind of have him like since the time he was in Atlanta, got him to the Super Bowl, conveniently left the playbook at the airport when they played the Patriots. And then he basically knew he was bouncing out to San Francisco anyway. San Fran just seems to always have an issue. Last year, it was the fact that their quarterbacks were injured. We saw Christian McCaffrey out there making passes.
Yeah.
And now we look and suddenly Steve Wilks does not fit. Like, I'm so confused. What about your OC? Like you said, it's an offensive thing and not knowing the rules. Speaking of those rules, the NFL is so complex at times. I remember not too long ago that the overtime rules were akin to sudden death. You go, everybody, gets the ball or whatever. If you make a field goal, the other team gets an opportunity to either tie it or beat you with a touchdown. Now it's like, even if you make that touchdown, the other team's got to get the ball. And then you got an opportunity to tie it. And then if that's the case, then it comes down to sudden death. Too many rules, too many different scenarios. Once again, another example of how the NFL has changed and started to literally take the enjoyment out of the game because of all the extra rules. What are your thoughts on that?
Thing is, this rule should have been changed a long time ago. It should have been that rule a long time ago, because everybody was mad. All right, so if a team takes the ball and they go score a touchdown, that's it. That's the end of it. Their offense doesn't get the chance to rebuttal. There's none of that. You don't get that chance. Like in college, you start at the 30, score a touchdown or field goal. The other team gets a chance to come out there and score a touchdown or field goal. They don't, it's over. Or it continues. Well, I think this goes back to with Josh Allen. It was the coin flip. He lost the coin toss. Pat Mahomes went down, scored a touchdown. Game over. That was it.
It's crazy. It's
And
always something.
and that's what it is. It's, they want football to be football, so they're going to give the other team a chance at it. And I get that. That's great. And I want that. I wanted that years ago. But again, it needs to be, I guess people need to be made known that it really went and it's getting enforced. And this is how they're doing it. Because, I mean, the ref said it. He said, look, it's like playing a new game, like we're starting a new game. First quarter. That's what this is. We're going to play 15
That's
minutes.
what he said. He said it's a new game. And I was like, what? Like, I just don't recall. Maybe because I hadn't seen the Super Bowl, go overtime. Is that the same for regular season too? Or is this just a Super Bowl thing?
Yeah, the regular season now, if you get a chance. So
Everybody
the Super Bowl, it's so rare to see. Like it happened with the Patriots Falcons.
Yes.
That was overtime, but that was the rule back then. It was score, and that was the end of that. And Super Bowls really don't go in the overtime, so you just don't ever see it a lot. And it's it's a bigger game, so you're paying attention more. As
Definitely
of in
more.
the regular season, you're not.
That's true. That's true. And Karen Belk, hi Karen. She says absolutely not Steve Wilkes' fault. He had the defense playing strong till the end, and he did. Steve Wilkes has gotten a bad vibe and, gotten a bad hand of cards, I should say, in my opinion. He's with Carolina for a short stint, was doing well, was getting us some good wins. And then suddenly now, he's gone. Then let's back it up. Arizona, when he was with Arizona, no one's giving him a full contract to prove himself. And so, unfortunately, you have situations like this one. But to me, you are, for all intents and purposes, the Super Bowl runner-up. Really? You're going to be fired? I'm confused. Like, that defense looked better than they had looked in a long time. To go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and to keep him kind of closed off and to be able to cover Pacheco and also do double coverage on Kelsey to the point that Kelsey didn't even receive but one catch the whole first quarter, and it was for 1 yard because it was almost like Mahomes knew the coverage was so good not to even target Kelsey. And now the defense is not what the 49ers are looking for. I'm so confused.
And it's Steve Wilkes is what they call a fall guy. Everywhere he goes, they bring him in just to be able to fire him to say he was the reason why they didn't win, so they don't have to worry about getting rid of the head coach, don't have to worry about doing this or that. They make him the fall guy. And it sucks for him because, I mean, he's been in Cleveland. He's been everywhere. But he's never had that fair shake like you're saying. He gets a year and then, all right, get out of here. We got something better coming in. They don't ever allow him to grow and have his own thing before they're getting rid of him.
And the sad thing is he's from the Charlotte area. So he would have been a great fit, in Carolina. The fans still miss him. And in fact, when stuff happens, they're like, yep, because of how Carolina did him, it's just bad karma at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, man, it's just so much. It's so much. And it's just hard to fathom. I guess one time he's just gonna need to just go off on somebody. Maybe they'll take him seriously then because he looks like he could do that.
Well, yeah, and he's very quiet. That's another thing. He doesn't get loud. He's not that typical D coordinator that's yelling and screaming on the sideline.
Right.
I think that's the difference because he doesn't get like that.
Right.
That's why they put him in the box halfway through the season and then brought him back down. But
yeah.
he doesn't. And he's not a vibrant person.
We never even saw him. We never even saw him for the most of it. And speaking of yelling and screaming, we saw Travis Kelce literally curse out Andy Reid on the sideline. Now, Andy Reid, who is a seasoned vet in the league, he's not only seasoned because of his experience, but he's like 71, 72 years old. And Travis Kelce was unrestrained to the point that one of his teammates had to pull him back. Andy never saw it coming. You literally could have caused serious injury to him, just how close he was up on him. If that had been Dan Campbell, I think Dan Campbell would have grabbed him by the neck and got him together. What are your thoughts on how Travis, behaved? I mean, yeah, he's come out and apologized or whatever, said he was caught up in the moment. But to disrespect your coach on a public platform like that is unacceptable.
Listen, he did. He touched him. He bumped right into him and almost pushed him over. That's the whole point here is let's take it back some years. Everybody remembers a man named T.O., correct?
Yes.
We all see him, his escapades, screaming, yelling. dogging coaches on the sideline, throwing shit everywhere. All of media got in T.O.'s ass over it, right up in it. Why'd this man do this? Well, look at him. He's acting a fool on the sideline, yelling at coaches, disrespecting everybody. Travis Kelce does it. Everybody's like, oh, well, you just in the passion, just that. Are you kidding me? How are you going to do that? How are you going to act like one is different than the other?
Right. And
It's
then
not.
TO's on y'all will fix my life, not crying and going on. He was a few years.
Well, yeah, he was boo-hooing my
you know,
quarterback, but still, how are you going to
yes.
sit there and say Kelce and what he did? And this wasn't just a primetime game. This was everybody and their mom was watching. Even if they don't like football, they watching this game. That's the
And how Miss
problem.
Miriam,
He acted that
yes,
way, and it's inexcusable. I don't care, heat of the moment or not.
yeah, she's right. It's very sad. And hi, Miss Miriam. Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you. And Karen also said it's a sad day in Kansas City. And I don't know. Do you think Steve Wilkes finds a spot?
Someone's gonna bring him in again. He's that fall guy. Someone's gonna bring him in, play DC, do that. Someone that needs him or someone that's just building a team up or whatever. And then eventually, when they find the guy they really want, they'll fire him after the year or two, and then that'll be that. And it sucks that it's like that with him, but it seems to be that's the trend, and he's that one guy that does it.
It's just so sad because, of course, the league across the border is full of talent everywhere. But then you just seem like you kind of see the subpar coaches that just continue to stay on. I mean, look at like how Salah is up in New York, with the Jets. This is probably going to be his last year. They kept extending Mike McCarthy. They give a little more grace to the head coach. But then and they say defense wins championships. Like, they literally could have won this game would it not been for offensive fumble by Christian McCaffrey, who's blaming himself now. Now that the adrenaline has gone down from the game, he's having an opportunity to look at exactly what happened. Big, big, big fumble. Almost, to the point of scoring, and then you fumble that close into the goal. That was just pitiful. But then you look at Ray McLeod, who also had a pivotal turnover. So I think it's not one specific turnover, but it's the collection of turnovers and poor ball management by the 49ers, which is all offensive, which cost them where they were now. But they said that, they received the ball first because they were trying to allow their defense to rest. They said their defense was tired. So they were banking on, being able to pull up on and stop Kansas from scoring in overtime. But unfortunately, that defense has spent so much time on the field the entire game that's the reason why they were worn down. And let's be clear, the only real touchdown that was scored by Christian McCaffrey was really supposed to be called back because there was a center down that was ineligible and they did not catch it. So that touchdown that Christian McCaffrey made, should have been called back.
Well, yeah, that you could have said that. I mean, you could have said some of KC's plays could be called back as a holding. I mean, but again, there's stuff that sneaks by and everything. But my whole thing, their reasoning for saying they wanted the ball first was to give the defense rest, right? Okay, I understand that to a point. My thing is you expected your defense to stop Pat Mahomes having 4 downs.
Yeah.
See, when you get the ball second, you have 4 downs to get your first down because you're going for everything, especially if the other team scored. You're not stopping. And if your team hasn't stopped them for an entire half, I'm sure in hell not doing that. I'm putting them out there first because I want to know what I have to go do.
Yeah.
Because if Pat Mahomes is going to go score a touchdown, cool. I have 4 downs every down, going down to do it.
They milked it down to 7 seconds. And I just knew because, they got that 4th and 1. And I was like, okay, they're technically in field goal range. They could just go ahead and kick it and tie the game. They were not doing that. They pulled a Dan Campbell where they were like, we're going to end the game right here. And they went all or nothing, passed it to Hargrove, who is a former Jet, and got it done. Like, I'm telling you, it happened so fast and so smooth that I literally was sitting there like, where's the next play? Not even realizing that it was game over.
You know what's crazy is Hardman was a Kansas City Chief the year before.
I wondered
He
about
got
that.
released, went to the Jets this year, and then the Jets released him, and he signed back with KC.
And the KC tried to get Bieniemy, and Washington blocked them from interviewing him to come and work with them when they were going, to the playoffs. And then Washington ended up releasing Bieniemy, so now Bieniemy is jobless. But the word was he was at least still having conversations with the offense and all the coordinators and stuff like that in Kansas City, and it shows. I guess he may have a job back with them after all, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, they came into this game where the 49ers were favorites. It started out 2.5 points, but by game time, it was down to 1 point. I don't even know how that was supposed to be possible. But they always say you don't bet against Mahomes. But honestly, the way the 49ers played at first, they really could have won this game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Again, to me, if I say the real turning point of the game is those first 2 drives after halftime where they just didn't run the ball. That's when they lost. That's when they decided to lose this game.
Yeah, and Karen says there's not many NFL coaching spots left. Nope, there are not. Maybe Steve would go to college level, just a thought. See, and that's the thing. You got people like Bill Belichick, the great, who is still jobless at the moment. You have Bill O'Brien, who went to Ohio State as a coordinator, but then just left, not even a month in, to go head coach at Boston College. So perhaps maybe Steve could go to Ohio State, but I just really hate that because it's so hard to go from a coordinator perspective to college if you're not actually head coaching. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Bill O'Brien did leave, right? Went to Boston College. He was going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Right.
Left and went to Boston College.
He's
Chip
the
Kelly
coach.
left a head coaching job at UCLA and is now the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. So Ohio State's covered. They're
They're sold up then.
good to go. But
Yeah.
Wilkes, I mean, he could go down there and be a coordinator, and it'd be a different game because, again, it's younger kids. It's a different atmosphere, but it could possibly be that way. And yeah, Bill Belichick doesn't have a job, but I feel like that's coming. That's next year's thing. He's still around. It'll be next year's move. Just like Vrabel. Vrabel doesn't have a job either. And you know what they said? Because they were intimidated by his size, is what their
Yes, I
excuse
saw
was.
that because his physique.
What?
I was like, this dude looks like Fred Flintstone. What are you talking about?
That-
But they say he's very commandeering, like just his host. And I mean, I didn't see it. I've seen him in person at a Titans game, and I was pretty close in. But I guess maybe the locker room theatrics are a little different, and I mean, maybe it's just
Have
kind
they
of like
seen Dan Campbell? That dude's big
right.
too, played in the league too, and he's
Yes.
very, very aggressive.
Yes, yes, even like Mike Zimmer, who is now hired in Dallas as their defensive coordinator, the former Vikings coach who actually finished in the top 3 of the Vikings. His last year was 2021, Mike Zimmer, and now he's the defensive coordinator. He and Rex Ryan were competing for that spot in Dallas. Rex, according to Adam Schefter, was basically going to be the sure win, and he had to back it up on the Pat McAfee show because Rex did not get the position. He's still going to be an analyst coming up this next football season. And so you look at stuff like that and you realize that even though it looks like there's a coaching carousel, those positions really are not that open like we think. We got to wait on Mike McCarthy to see what he proves with him being a lame duck this upcoming year. We got to look at Robert Saleh up in New York, those teams. We even have to look at Philadelphia. We have to look to see those teams who their coaches are on thin ice to see where Belichick moves in. He already has a good relationship up there with the Giants franchise. So it's not, shocking to see him there. It's also not shocking to see if Steve Wilkes perhaps lands a position somewhere else. I don't think he would be a head coach because he really has not proven head coach tendencies, but at a minimum as a defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. He will be a defensive coordinator somewhere. And the whole thing with Belichick and the weight game, McCarthy, the reason why Jerry Jones did that is because, in the NFL, when you hire a coach, their contract's guaranteed, whether you let them go 5 games in or they do their whole contract, you got to pay them. So he wasn't gonna if he wasn't gonna get the guy he wanted, he wasn't gonna get rid of McCarthy. He was just gonna run that through him and Dak, and then at the end of that, they're gone if they don't do what they need to do. The Philly situation, I truly believe this is it. If Sirianni doesn't make it happen, he's gone, and I think that's the perfect, 100% perfect spot for Belichick to go to. It's already got the skill position players. It's got people. It's got his defense. He just work on some stuff, bring in who he wants. I think that's the perfect landing spot for him.
And I thought they were going to have, Karen brought up Ron Rivera. I thought that the Eagles were contemplating speaking with Ron. I don't know what happened with that.
You know what's crazy is I thought he went to Dallas. That was in my mind. I heard that he had went to DC there, but you said Zimmer, so I'm like, all right, well maybe Zimmer.
Yeah,
go.
Zimmer. Well, let me just make sure. Let's make sure because I know it's
you're
not
probably all right because I don't pay attention to a lot of Dallas stuff.
Coordinator. So Ron Rivera. Yeah, no, he doesn't have a job right now. So
see, I thought he went somewhere because I thought he switched spots with Dan Quinn because I was laughing at that if that's what happened. Like with them dudes literally switched.
Yeah,
crazy.
I had thought that too, but they did interview him, but it did not pan out. I do know he didn't go there. I know Philadelphia was supposed to be speaking with him. And I also know that Frank Wright, who was the original, like the first of the fireys from Black Monday, like he made it Gray Monday before Black Monday even started because David Tepper got him out of Carolina so quick. He was actually up there consulting with Sirianni and them, trying to basically, I don't know what he was doing, honestly. He didn't get a job, but they apparently there's history with Frank Wright previously being in Philadelphia, and I was not aware of that. But you have all these coordinators that are out there looking for jobs, coaches looking for jobs. I really feel like McCarthy's going to be out before he even finishes the season next year. If they start losing 3 and 4 in a row, Jerry Jones is going to come on down there and get him up out of there, and then move probably Belichick or even Vrabel to there.
Listen, here's the deal. Dak Prescott is the light-skinned Tony Romo, so them having a bad regular season is probably not going to happen. So they're going to probably hold off, and it'd be the whole year because the red tape with Dak is so ridiculous that he couldn't trade him or do anything with him if he wanted to. So he's probably going to keep that. That McCarthy will probably be there until they lose in the first round of the playoffs again, and then that's that. They're gone. You know, they have turned this whole coaching carousel. It's a young man's game now. If you see all the old heads are out, gone. Belichick, Pete Carroll, Ron Riviera. Vrabel's not really an old head, but he's an older head. Like, you know, he's right below them guys out. Like all these old guys are out of it now. It's bringing all these young dudes in, and you see the Titans brought in the young Brian Callahan. He's in. Young guys going to Seattle. I mean, got all these young bucks now. They're not about the old stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out. But again, I think Belichick will get one more run, and it'll be in Philly once they have that collective of whatever the hell they got going on over there, because they brought in every different piece or old head piece that they could find to help Sirianni. But I think that's where it all actually happens.
Yeah, their recruitment was big. I'm not sure if you know or not, but the Seahawks, they said they released Pete Carroll due to a non-coaching issue. So apparently their owner has passed away, and in his will, he wanted the team sold by 2025. So basically, they have Pete Carroll as an analyst right now with the organization. That's why you don't see him out there shopping around for anywhere. He's just chillaxing and spending the coins that he's earned with this franchise. And so he may not even be in the topic of conversation as to, getting another job or whatever. But like you said, all but for their winning records, Belichick, like, you're over 70, you just need to be somewhere chillaxing, spending that money. It's even if he gets a head coaching job, it's not gonna be another Tom Brady dynasty. I do not see that, because at the end of the day, I don't think it was the Belichick way like a lot of people thought. I think it was the Brady way, and those two learned off of each other. And Tom took what he learned from Belichick and made it in Tampa Bay and got what he needed to get and then left. Because we saw Belichick struggle with even bringing in the likes of Cam Newton. He had Jones up there. We've seen him with a plethora of quarterbacks up there, and none of them, even Stidham, when they got them out of Auburn. And we never saw anyone make the run that Tom Brady did.
My thing with that is people need to understand Belichick's not an offensive guy whatsoever. Whatsoever. He won Super Bowls being a defensive coordinator for the Giants. He doesn't like the offensive side of the ball like that. Doesn't care for it. If you think about Brady and his Super Bowl wins and how it all came about, he had some of the best defenses. And he had guys that that Belichick coached up that probably would have been nothing without Belichick. So yeah, Brady did a lot, but I believe Belichick helped him with that defensive side of things very much. Because if you think about it, Matt Castle, when Brady went down, Matt Castle went, what was it at 16? He went 11-5 or something that year that Brady went down. So it's not like it can't be done. I just also think he had a bunch of trash he kept wheeling in there. Cam Newton at his age or at where he was, to me, Cam Newton was just that one-hit wonder. He could do it all, did everything he could 2015, and then you're old news, you're done. That's it. Mac Jones, every Alabama quarterback is trash. I mean, Tua's gotten lucky, but he gets one more hit and he's done forever because he'll never play again. But every Alabama quarterback has been trash. Like, they're not good guys. And I think he needed to have an offensive mindset as his coordinator. Like, that dude needed to be there to deal with all that. And he kept bringing in his sons or trying to rile up these other guys. I mean, it just wasn't ever going to work.
Everybody. He was trying to reinvent the wheel, as they say. And it just was not happening at all. And so, we see that and it's just different. It's literally just different across the board. All right. So your thoughts on the Super Bowl, other than, like, did you expect Patrick Mahomes to win this game? Did you expect that?
I called the Niners and the under. The under happened, but I mean, the Niners had it up until 9 seconds left. But
yeah,
you can't ever count Patty Mahomes out. I mean, the dude's amazing. Kermit the Frog can do all sorts of things. It was the greatest Muppet show on earth. We watched it happen right there.
The same thing. I always say that he looks like Kermit, and he sounds like him. Yeah, we got up there.
He sounds like Kermit. Looks like Darlene from Roseanne.
Yes,
it's what it is. But he can do it. It literally was the greatest Muppet show on earth. You had Fozzie the Bear, which was, Kelsey. You had the chef that you can't understand, which is Andy Reid. And then you had the one pink Muppet with the blonde hair and the big lips, which is Taylor Swift up in the stands. I mean, you literally had
you got it down, Pat. Right. Yes. And you're right. And the Taylor Swift effect, I guess, in the end, maybe it worked.
The NFL's going to get what they want. And if you look at it, I'm still mystified how the Ravens took the playbook that got them all the wins and all the way where they were at and threw it out and brought in something new.
Yes. And hi, Kevin Oliver Sr. Thank you for tuning in. And yes, a one-hit wonder. Yeah, right.
How about Cam Newton? Well, listen, Cam didn't do anything except for that 1 year. I mean, he had some good seasons, but that team didn't go nowhere except for that 1 year.
But you know why? Because they're doing exactly what's about to happen with the 49ers. So, and we're going to get to that in a minute. This is a great point to pivot into. Teams that go that well, everybody's going to do what? Start asking for more money. Once everybody on the team is like, oh, nah, we played and we got into the Super Bowl. Even if you don't win, you now feel like you are worth way more than what you've been paying. So they imploded our team. They literally got rid of Jericho Cotchery, Benet Ben Wickery, Thomas Davis. I mean, everybody from the nucleus, except for like Luke Kuechly and Greg Olsen, they stayed behind and Cam stayed. But we got rid of some really big weapons. Jonathan Stewart, Josh Norman. Like, it was a list of people that from that big team that was that big team. So now we look at what's happening with San Francisco. Brock Purdy is earning about $700,000 a year right now because it's the end of his rookie contract. Brock's the quarterback. No, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he got him to the Super Bowl, and he's going to be asking for what? More money. Then you look at Brandon Ayuk, who is also at the end of his contract.
He's gone.
They just renewed him for one more year last year to extend him, and he's already on social media like,
yeah, he's gone.
I basically realized I'm going to be gone because not only that, San Francisco does not have the salary cap to pay these people in addition to the players that are already there, like George Kittle, who's already there and in place. And then you look at all these other people. Christian McCaffrey now is established. You got to pay your main people to stay your main people. And now Brock has to get this money, even though he may or may not be the quarterback of this franchise.
But Brock doesn't have to get paid for a couple more years.
I think this is the end of his year. This year coming up is not the last year.
He was a rookie last year.
2022.
Yeah, so it was only 2 years into his rookie deal.
So let's just double check, because I read somewhere where he's got one more, and like in 25 they'll be looking at.
But yeah, he'll have to pay him. I'm pretty sure. I thought, well, maybe they only do 4-year contracts. So what? Yeah, that might be right around then. But
yeah, I think
you're gonna give him his money. But again, like you said, everyone else is already locked up. Ayuk's gonna go. They're gonna let him walk. They're gonna bring in somebody else. I mean, you can go get a Calvin Ridley for cheap, and the guy's talented. Bring him in. Bring in a Tyler Boyd.
And even bigger than that. So while I'm looking this up, they're actually saying that the bold prediction is that the 49ers move on from Brock Purdy and rehab star Kirk Cousins to come in. Yeah. They're saying this is a possibility. Kirk Cousins' name has been transcended around the league to come into Atlanta, to possibly come in after, Dak got himself so sold up. Nobody can move him until it's time for him to be moved. But, Dak's going to be coming up next year, the end of next year. And so, yes. And hello, beautiful bearded bastards. Hello to you, females or guys. Triple B.
Yeah.
B. And so, it's going to be interesting to see, because like I said, we see these teams literally imploding. We see them imploding all the time. Like, they just can't seem to let a team go back to back.
Listen, if the 49ers decide to somehow move on from Brock Purdy, that entire Niner faithful, bang, bang, Niner gang, will go irate.
Yep.
So, no, there's no way they do that. And Kirk Cousins already told Minnesota he would take less to stay. So unless people are going to offer up some good-ass draft picks or something nice, Kirk Cousins is probably going to be Minnesota next year. Unless Minnesota says, nah, we don't want to take less. We're going to draft somebody. Well, cool, draft somebody. But then you still, before you used to have a rookie quarterback sit. See, everybody needs to start falling in line with what Green Bay does. You had Brett Favre, you drafted Aaron Rodgers 3 years later. Guess what? Aaron Rodgers is a starter. Star. Draft Jordan Love. He sits for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers leaves. Guess what? Jordan Love, star.
Right.
Don't just throw these rookies right up in there. So Kirk Cousins, if I'm Minnesota, I bring him in on a couple-year contract. He says he'll take less. Give him less. If you want to draft a quarterback, cool. He sits for those couple years. Star. I
said that even in Carolina with Bryce Young, and Panthers fans just disagreed with me. They were like, no, if you basically, bench a rookie quarterback and you sold the farm for him or whatever, then it messes with their confidence. I'm like, but how would they not know the game? They're not going to know the game coming from college. It's a different animal. So you want them to come in and already know the system? That's crazy. And especially with an O-line like ours, you're going to get them hurt.
Here's the problem. Again, where'd Bryce come from? Alabama. Come on, that's a Saban thing out there. And plus, every quarterback from Alabama has done nothing in this league. Absolutely nothing. Tua has a superpower team over there with the fastest wide receivers, and that's why he's doing something. He has running backs that can do things. Different story there. You guys should have started Andy Dalton. Just let Andy Dalton play and put Bryce there and let Bryce sit, because, again, NFL is faster. It's a lot crazier than the college is. And he is small. He is short. and your
Very
offensive line
tiny.
is trash, and he's lucky he didn't get killed. So they should have sat him, let the red rifle play, let the year do his thing, because you guys weren't going to do anything anyways this year. So allow him to learn, watch the speed of the game, and maybe, all right, halfway through or towards the end, get him out there and let him get some gameplay. But you guys literally set him up for failure already
Yep.
because you threw him out there right to the Tigers, and them Tigers ate.
Yep. And I said that, and people disagreed with me, and I was like, no, he like our O-line is
A shiny
trash.
new toy thing.
You're setting him up to fail.
Yeah.
You're setting him up to fail. No one, I've been in groups, no one wanted to hear that. Oh no, like now we see we only won 2 games. So maybe, next time seeing will be believing. But I digress because now the damage is done and we are at the end of a season. Thank God. At the last game, Mike, I cried. I don't know if I was crying because I was so happy it was over or so sad that once again we're losing another game. But it was like so emotional last year. And I was just like, I'm just so glad this season's over with.
See, I'd have been
So
crying
glad.
because y'all lost all that and are getting nothing for it because it goes to the Bears. That's what I'd have been crying about. Like,
You
holy
know what?
shit.
When the Bears got ready to trade that pick, they looked at the situation. They had somebody to come in and analyze. And they were like, let's see. They have a horrible O-line. They're getting a 5'9" quarterback. They're getting an Alabama quarterback. They don't have Christian McCaffrey anymore. They're giving us DJ Moore. They were like, oh, you know what? We're going to get this pick right on back. Go ahead and give it to them.
Yeah.
And that's what they did because this year's draft class for quarterbacks is going to be insatiable. You got Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. I mean, people are not sold on JJ McCarthy, but he's there. You got
Drake
Michael
May.
Penix Jr. You got Oduzet. You got a lot of people that are, at least a good 7-8 people that should last through the first round that everybody should feel like they got a top pick, when a draft comes around. So I don't know what's the Browns gonna be doing. What you guys looking at for a draft?
Well, we don't have a pick until the 3rd. So in reality, we're going to be looking to add some speed to the wide receiver room. We're going to linebacker and probably just plug and play some different positions. We don't have a lot of work we need to do. I mean, if we're healthy, we're good to go all around. I really think in free agency, we're going to try to move some money around, pick up a wide receiver 2, maybe grab a linebacker in free agency and put them in there and see what happens. But
That's definitely good. What's the situation with the quarterback? What are you guys gonna do there?
no, Deshaun.
So I read somewhere. So are you guys gonna just Flacco's done? That was it for him?
If I'm the guy saying yes, I'm saying he's done because I don't want Flacco on the team. And then every time Deshaun throws an interception or if we lose a game, you hear the chants from the crowd, the city's, oh, put Flacco in. You don't want Deshaun looking over his shoulder every second of every game that if he does something wrong, everybody's chanting the other way. You don't want that.
Yeah, and that's what I read that there will be a quarterback issue in the locker room if you got
so
half the team that wants Deshaun and half that's still loyal to Flacco. But Flacco looked good until he didn't. He showed us, the reason why he's in retirement. But Karen has a good point here. She said Brock Purdy's last cheap year is this coming year. So can't be extended before the end of 2024. That's what I was saying. In 2025, I thought that's when they were saying his year is up. So is that what you're saying, Karen?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't have to worry about spending money now. Like they don't have to spend money right now on him.
I got you. Okay. And then she's also said that Drake May's projected to be 3rd pick in the
North
draft.
Carolina's quarterback.
Yep.
And
I forgot about Mays.
If people are smart, I'm not drafting Caleb Williams anyways. That dude is a prima donna. The dude cries if he loses.
He's the one that gets his nails painted,
and hugs his
right?
dog and stuff. I'm cool on that type.
He's
got
he
an amazing
the one that
talent.
has his nails painted black?
Yeah.
But
he needs a coach like Dan Campbell that's going to make him a man because this dude is something else. And I don't think the Bears draft him. If the Bears draft him, they screwing a lot of things up for themselves. I think I'm trading that pick. Whoever wants Caleb Williams and wants to move up a couple spots, do that. Draft Marvin Harrison. Draft the O tackle from Penn State with our 9th pick that we got. and get weapons in an offensive line setup and let Fields have a run at this thing.
Yeah, the word was they may try to go after Cousins if Minnesota doesn't keep him and get rid of Fields. And just when Fields is starting to come into being okay, because for a couple of years, Fields was like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And speaking of being there, before he came, we had Mitchell Trubisky who went to the Steelers. Steelers just released Mitchell Trubisky on yesterday. So now Mitchell is, I guess he'll be back up somewhere. I don't know. That quarterback situation in Chicago has been horrible since they had Jay Cutler. Like even with him, he didn't care. I don't know when the last time they had a really good quarterback in Chicago. They're a defensive team anyway, but nonetheless, that I don't know. I feel like just when Justin, literally no pun intended, just when Justin is saying, hey, I'm good to be here, that's when they're actually the talks are being considered about them with this number one pick. Because with them having a number one pick, they could really get a lot for it, more than what they got when they gave it to Carolina.
Yeah. Yep. And again, if they're smart, they keep Justin. He's already, you don't got to pay nothing right now. You're already paying him. Let him play. Put another weapon out there. Build up your line. And again, in a couple years, if Justin ain't it, then Justin ain't it. Then you get a quarterback. But at least you have everything set then for that quarterback to come into. Not, hey, when you get a quarterback, still not have the line, still not have no weapons, and still suck.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback. You look at New York with that whole DeVito and Zappy and all those guys up there. New York needs a quarterback. Atlanta needs a quarterback. I mean, those teams are not high in drafts. I think Atlanta will be drafted number 7 or 8. They'll probably be lucky if they get Michael Penix Jr. by the time they draft, unless they're able to switch and give up some people. What are your predictions? I know the draft is a few weeks away, but I mean, it's really not that long away when you think that we're only a couple more weeks before February is over and the draft comes up in April. Yeah. What are your thoughts on, teams that need a quarterback? Where do you see people going as far as these top 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks that are to be drafted?
Well, I think someone trades up to get Caleb Williams. So he'll go one regardless. And unless the Bears say, screw it, we're just going to keep it and take Marvin Harrison if no one's giving us what we want. But Drake may probably go to Washington or Jaden Daniels, and then Jaden Daniels will go to New England. That'll interchange. So it'll be 3 quarterbacks right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Cardinals. They're not drafting a quarterback.
Right.
You got the Chargers. They're not drafting the quarterback. They got Herbert. If I'm right, the Giants are right there. So the Giants are going to take a quarterback. And then 7, I forget who it is, but they're not doing that. Falcons at 8. So, I mean, there's going to be at least 5 quarterbacks gone in the top 5.
It's funny real quick that you mentioned the Chargers would not be taking a quarterback because now they have Harbaugh there. Mm-hmm. But there was a rumor out that they still, even though with Justin Herbert, they still were thinking about taking J.J. McCarthy because he's familiar with Harbaugh's way of coaching at Michigan. And he could bring him in, have him kind of shadow Justin Herbert as a good backup. And then maybe, once Justin kind of gets ready to move on, he could bring him in. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's stupid as hell.
I've seen it. I've seen it on 2 different.
I saw that rumor, but the thing is, if they can go back a little further, Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert. Absolutely loves this dude. That is one of the main reasons he said, I want to go coach the Chargers.
And he used to be a Charger.
Yes. But he loves Justin Herbert. In college, he said it before. He loves Justin Herbert's game.
But look at their initials, JH.
Yeah.
They got the same initials.
and he's not going to do that. He said JJ be picked early, and JJ he'll probably get picked in the top 10. Who knows? If somebody really does their draft study, they may grab him and say, hey, we like him over this guy. So that might be a shock. He might be one of the guys that's highly drafted. He could go to Atlanta instead of Penix because people are saying Penix, after that performance, dropped down a couple of rounds, which
he dropped down. The injuries showed up. They found out, he's basically been injured in every quadrant of his body, both shoulders, knees. Yeah. Like, that's going to make his stock go down. And he has to go to the combine, too. We still don't know what his combine numbers are going to look like when that's coming up right around the corner. So
See, the combine's a big thing, but I think it's just more people just going out there watching people do things. It's not huge to me. I'd rather see somebody play.
you
That's
know,
what's huge to me.
well, you remember Colin Kaepernick, it came out during the combine that he had foot surgery that he didn't reveal earlier.
Mhm.
Um, I think he slipped and fell at Candlestick Park or something to that effect, and that's when it all came back out. But they talked about that was something that they didn't realize during the combine. So, Dan Patrick's always out there running, showing that he can still do the 40-yard dash
Oh,
or
you
whatever
mean Rich
dash.
Eisen? Yeah.
Yeah, Rich Eisen. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always mixing him and Dan Patrick up. Rich Eisen. And so you look at that, you got to look and see that this is their way of, yeah, they're out there in shorts and t-shirts, probably no shirts on or whatever. But this is still their way of showing their speed, their agility, and their wherewithal to be able to acclimate and come into the NFL, don't you think?
It is, but a lot of big names don't even do the combine. They pass on it and do their stuff at their own school. They
I
do
wonder
all the
what
same things at the combine, but they'll do it at their own school, like Josh Allen did.
right.
Um, a bunch of them did. A bunch of players did that because they want their own guys to throw the ball to, select what they're doing, do all this stuff instead of, hey, I'm going to come there and then that's it. They do their own pro day and they forego the combine,
It's
and it
crazy
doesn't
because if
hurt
you do
them.
the combine, seems like it could be a neutral party that would see that, but I guess I see what you're saying.
But I mean, yeah, they do that. I mean, it doesn't hurt them. I maybe a little bit, but to me, it's still the same thing. Whether you can do it with that guy or this guy, they're looking at your strength, your placement, your ball placement, your accuracy, your footwork. So I mean, it's all in the same, I believe.
It's all the same, and we're gonna definitely be staying tuned on that. So switching gears a little bit, Mike. NBA, we got the All-Star game coming up this weekend.
Mhm.
Big news there. Now I know you are a Cavs fan.
Yep.
What do y'all have anybody playing in the All-Star game? I can't
Yeah,
recall.
Donovan Mitchell's playing in it.
Donovan Mitchell. Okay, so that's going to be a big thing coming up. As far as the divisions right now, where they are headed, right before we came on, the Atlanta Hawks were playing the Charlotte Hornets, and the Hornets were up. I have not checked the score, but looks like Klay Thompson will not be leaving Golden State. Um, Kyle Lowry, who was with the Hornets for a brief stint, I
Hornets
got
won.
excited about him. Yay, Hornets. And so they have released him. It looks like the 76ers have already picked him up.
Yep.
That's crazy because, Embiid is out. And Embiid is out for at least 65 games with this knee surgery, not replacement. And so what are your thoughts on that? We're about to hit the pivotal point where people are making this push for the playoffs.
I mean, it's a good move. They needed some veteran leadership for that point guard. I mean, someone to come off the bench and command the team when Maxi's out and stuff. So I mean, it was bound to happen. Plus, that's where he's from. He's from Philly. So I figured, hey, that's what's going to happen. I knew the buyout was coming. Again, that was just a money thing. You take him, you release him, you free up some money. I knew that was going to go down. And I mean, again, it was good. It was good that it happened.
Yeah, I thought we were going to at least get someone has said that we might use him to get like 3 other players, but I guess it's nothing like freeing up money because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's what it all comes down to. Now, we've seen, I don't know, looks like Draymond Green is going to continue to be with the Warriors. Now, speaking of Warrior news, Steph's brother Seth is now a Charlotte Hornet as well. He took the court for the first time this week, and I saw him out there tonight doing big things in Charlotte, joining LaMelo Ball. And so, they're getting it done up there in Charlotte, as you said. What was that final score, Mike?
It was 122-99.
Yes, way to go, Hornets. Way to go. All right. So like I said, we got the All-Star game coming up this weekend. Doc Rivers is getting a chance to be the coach of the East, only because even though Boston's number one, the Boston coach Manzula last year coached, and you can't coach back to back. So even though Doc Rivers is like probably 1-6 or 1-7 now since taking over, he's actually going to be coaching the Eastern Conference in the All-Star games. That's crazy.
That's horrible. It's all because Adrian Griffin was going to coach it, and then he got fired. That is stupid that they did that. Dumb. To be honest, they should have gave it to JV Bickerstaff then.
Yeah, I mean, you got rid of Griffin, and it seems like the trajectory is spiraling down worse. Like,
Yep.
Like, this is crazy at this point. And so we see all these musical chairs because we saw a lot of people moving around right before the deadline. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the deadline's done. It's all done. Everything's done. But I thought more was going to happen. I was
Yeah.
shocked. I thought the Lakers would have did something. I thought the Heat were going to do something. I thought more things were going to move around, and it was like crazy that nothing really happened.
Quiet. Barely
It was a
anybody.
very quiet trade deadline. It was all right, average moves. The Knicks did most of the moving, which they have the pieces to do that. So the Knicks got way better, and they're going to be better. But yeah, everybody kind of just
Yeah, the word was out just as a rumor mill that Trey Young may have been going to the Spurs to join Wemby, but clearly that didn't happen.
yeah.
But it's speculated at a minimum maybe next year that his time with Atlanta, if they don't start doing something pretty soon, that his time may be coming to an end with that franchise. So, like you said, a very quiet, like no, like nothing
Yeah.
really dramatic. I was shocked that the Warriors were not imploded more because of everything we've seen with them. I always say the Splash Brothers are more like just a tiny puddle now. It's no splash anymore.
Yeah.
And I really think a lot of that, to be honest, Mike, is not necessarily that they're not physically able to win games. I think it's because of the drama that has gone on with Draymond that has infiltrated that locker room, including his own behavior towards his teammates, including Jordan Poole. And I think that he is like the cancer to that team. And I've seen like people even blog like, why do they even hold on to this guy? He's horrible.
Well, he won't be on that team next year. I don't think Klay Thompson will be either. I think a lot of things will change in the offseason. Yeah, because they're going to need to free up some money. Because I mean, that owner was over the tax limit like for years to keep that team together, and now it's starting to go downhill. You're going to free it up. I mean, Draymond's going to go, Clay's going to go. You're going to get what you can and build around Steph again, because Steph will be the one that stays, and you'll try to build up again. But yeah, that team is definitely going to be done in the offseason.
And what do you think? Do you think LeBron gets any help in the offseason? I mean, we know LeBron is kind of going into the twilight of his career. He's been trying to hang in there to play with his son. Bronny had some health issues earlier in the season, but he's been cleared to come back. And LeBron just wants to play with his son. But LeBron is getting up there, and we're seeing LeBron, in a lesser space than we've seen him, which is the natural progression of things. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's going to play. He'll be there until Bryce comes in there, to be honest. He's going to wait for the younger son. He already said once he hits like 40,000 points, he's going to shoot with only his left hand and 5,000 more points. So he's already
Wow.
stated he's going to be around, and teams are going to start gearing up because Bronny's probably not coming out this year
Right.
because he had a lackluster season due to the health reasons. So Bronny will probably stay again. I'm pretty sure. And then Bryce will end up in college with him, and they'll both maybe they come out together. I don't know how it'll work,
That's
but
crazy.
teams are going to start gearing up to try to get Bronny because they know whoever gets Bronny gets LeBron. Is
Yes.
how they're going to look at it because LeBron will
Yes.
go and take whatever rate cut, do whatever, and go there just to play with his son.
Right. And I'm just wondering though, like how that could not be the Lakers. Would the Lakers not be that organization that steps up to make that happen?
They should, but you got to think you're going to get LeBron who's aging, but the dude's still giving you 25, 7, and 7. That's better than most players in the NBA
Right.
still at the age of
Right.
39. So you're going to get Bronny, you're going to get his dad, and he's going to make Bronny better. So possibly you'll have yourself a team ready to roll. And then when LeBron's gone, you still have Bronny, who's going to be way better than he was because LeBron's going to make sure he is. So teams are going to be like, if you want him, we're taking him here. You better pay up. So again, it's going to be one of those things. People are going to nosedive straight to get that ball in their court so they can be the pick.
And they're definitely, talk about power in the name. They're definitely, playing for that James name, and definitely something to stay tuned and keep an eye on. All right, Mike, this has been a great time as always.
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately, our time has come up. And everyone, please stay tuned on Roku, Northeast Streaming Sports, your center for sports 24/7. There's other shows coming up after this. And thank you, everyone, for all your comments coming on. Karen, BBB. We got Prim and Proper Sports. We got everybody on here that joined us tonight. Miss Miriam. Thank you very much, everyone. And we bid you all a very, very, very good night. And I will see you guys tomorrow night at 7 on this same station. Good night.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.